Black Death Survival by John Cronshaw. Read by John Cronshaw. Chapter 1. Liam stared past his mother's vacant eyes as machines wheezed and beeped around her. Her skin hung creased and yellowed, dead flesh on a half-dead frame. The quarantine bubble shimmered against the strip light, ripples of white separating and reconnecting on the glassy surface. You know what really pisses me off the most? Liam turned to his wife, the chair's leather padding squeaking beneath him. If she got this a few years ago, she'd be all right now. Jenna squeezed his right hand, her skin dark against his, and sighed. Oh no, we'll get through this. She ran a hand over her tied back curls, reached into her handbag, and pulled out a cereal bar. Last one? Want to share? Liam waved her away. He couldn't cope with more dry blandness. I was interviewing a guy about this a few years back. He gestured vaguely towards the bed. He said it was to do with farmers. What's that got to do with it? Jenna began to eat. Stray oat grains tumbled to the floor. These farmers pumped the animals with antibiotics to stop them getting ill, and after a while, they stopped working. With slow movement, he scratched at the stubble along his cheeks and jaw, frowning as the footage of pigs filled his mind, their flesh yellowed and dying as farmers watched on helplessly. Why had no one listened? Right. Jenna glanced over the bed, then regarded Liam, the corners of her lips twitching. He dropped his hands to his side, eyes narrowing. What? I just don't think you're focusing on what's happening here. Your mother is dying, Liam, and you just keep talking about work. Silence hung between them for several seconds. Liam glanced around the windowless room, tracing the lines between the off-white wall tiles, the sink, the plastic dispenser for latex gloves and soap, the machines, the steel-framed bed, the half-drawn curtains in surgical blue that did nothing to shield anyone from the indignity of it all. He got to his feet and rubbed the back of his neck, pacing between his wife and mother, wrinkling his nose at the lingering bleach. His father's death flooded his mind, the way the cancer ravaged his body, draining the colour from his hair and skin in a matter of weeks. I haven't checked her in a while, he made towards the door. I should find out what's happening. Liam, please. The dark-eyed pleaded with him. You need to prepare yourself for the worst. Swallowing, Liam slumped back into his seat and leaned against her, resting his head on her shoulder. You think I don't see what's happening? She stroked his hair. It's just... His voice trailed off. He resented the implication that he didn't care, that he was unfeeling. If he let his emotions take hold, they would wash over him and break him. He had to be the strong one. He couldn't let his family down. I'm fine, Jenna. He's fine. She's your mum. You need to come to terms with what's happening. Liam sat up, gazed down at his brown shoes, and shrugged. What do you want me to say? I didn't realise there was a right way to be. Must have missed that PowerPoint. Don't be a dick. She leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees, and turned to him, eyebrow raised. I'm serious. I think you're in denial. I'm not in denial. What do you want me to do? I'm to get on my knees and start wailing. I'm dealing with it. Just give me a break. He got to his feet, fist clenched, shaking his head. A wave of heat spread across his chest and coursed along his spine. Why did they always have the heating so high in these places? I'm going to find out what's happening. Her gaze dropped to her open palms. I'm sorry. Brushing crumbs from her black leggings and cardigan, she tossed the cereal bar wrapper back into her bag. I guess it's getting to both of us. Liam placed a hand on her shoulder and forced a smile. I'm here for you. We'll be fine. Okay. I appreciate what you're trying. His eyes shot to the blinking light on the ceiling, his ears ringing with a shrill alarm. What's that? She cringed at the sound and said something Liam could not make out. He gestured to the door. We should go. Liam nodded. Jenna nodded, grabbed her bag, and rose to her feet. She waved a hand towards the bed. Liam shook his head and opened the door. Men and women ran past, following the blinking sign for the fire exits. The floor shimmered off-white as more red lights flashed in unison. The nurse pushed a wheelchair towards them, taking a wide berth as a gaunt, grey man glared up at them with sunken eyes. Come on, he said, taking Jenna's hand. Let's see what's going on. They joined the stream of people along the corridor, past the door to private wards and the empty nurses' station. Taking a right, they reached the lift and frowned at a man smashing his fists against the buttons. They'll be out, Liam said to the man. It's fire alarm. The man glanced at them for a second with small watery eyes, cursing under his breath. His pallid flesh stretched across sharp cheekbones, framed by curtains of lank white hair. Sneering, he flapped his hospital gown around, his blue-tinged spindly legs quivering, and turned back to the buttons, prodding them with a finger. Mate, seriously, the lifts are out. The man turned to him with wild eyes, his lip curling. Liam shrugged and stepped over to the stairwell, jerking the door handle. It's locked, the man said, his voice like stone. Everything's locked. Liam ran to the corridor, shouldered his way through a set of double doors. People stood gathered around the entrance to another stairwell, staring at the door. What's going on? The nurse jerked her chin up and raised her hands, her arms fleshy and drooping like bat wings. Please, sir, we're waiting for an announcement. What about the fire? Liam leaned against the door, pushing it with his right arm. Sweat dripped from the end of his nose, pooling around the back of his neck and armpits. He banged against the door with his fists, the thuds drowned out by the alarm. Jenna tugged at his elbow. Liam, leave it. I'm not staying around here if there's a fire. He wiped the sweat from his forehead with a sleeve, his breath deepening. Everyone's looking at you. I don't care. You know how much? The alarm stopped. Liam met the nurse's glare with gritted teeth, shrugging Jenna's hands away when she tried to hold him back. Where is the fire? The nurse raised her chin. That wasn't a fire alarm, sir. Thank you. That was the first chapter of my new book, Black Death Survival. It is out now, available on Amazon. You can get it in paperback. You can get it as a Kindle book, and you can read it for free on Kindle Unlimited. So go and do that. Grab your copy now. I'll be reading more chapters over the coming days. So until next time, cheerio.